Hey y'all, this video is probably going to be weird because the energy is weird and people are weird and things are strange. I'm lighting a candle. May God bless us all with better days and a better future together. All right. I speak to you from my perspective, and that I was born in 1971. And in 1971, I have had 9 presidents. 9 presidents. I was born under Nixon. And then it was Gerald Ford. Then it was Jimmy Carter. Then it was Ronald Reagan. Then it was George Herbert Walker Bush. Then it was Bill Clinton. Then it was George W. Bush. Then it was Barack Obama. And now it is Donald J. Trump. And I don't know if you know this, but there's an election to have another president possibly in about 100-ish hours. And so shit has been crazy in my lifetime because like the main religion has been business. And that doom and fear have pretty much just been a business. And I'm definitely tired of buying doom or fear. That's like all anyone is ever selling. And it does seem weird to me that the people who follow Trump, man, they don't like, follow is not the right word. It is like an all new, spectacular, evangelical, political religion. Whether in ways like Baptists or certain Catholics, or whether it be Muslim versus Christian, at times throughout history, people have been like, hey, we are Baptists, so we are the only ones going to heaven. Everybody else going to hell. Not only are you going to hell, you're going to get tortured and shit before, even here on earth. Like, they have, like, the Catholics, when they had the Spanish Inquisition, they were like, hey, all these peasants and pagans and non-Catholics, man, they're evil. We can burn them at the fucking stake. We can stick them in toe chopping machines. We can stretch them. Why? Because we are the chosen. We are the only children of heaven. Everybody else is fucking demons. Everybody who's not us is demons. And so to me, honestly, going into the election, dude, this is not a normal election. That like the people who like Trump are like, the election of our president was the greatest thing that has ever happened. And that like everything we do is amazing. And if something goes wrong, it's everybody else's fault. And then, like I said, religion is like the business is a religion, and the religion is fear and doom always. And so I'm trying to explain to you that, like, I don't know, I was a weird 7-year-old kid, and that I've been dreaming about world peace and people getting along and there being an end to war since I was a little kid. And I've been obsessed with it. Like, hey man, people and countries should stop fighting and killing each other and raping and robbing and stealing. And that everything would get better if we just stopped warring with each other. And so, since I'm 7 years old, I've had nothing but businessmen and explain to me why we can't have peace. And you may be telling me why we can't have peace because you read the book of Revelation twice or you watched a single YouTube motherfucking video on it. or you can quote a passage from Daniel. What was it talking about? Hey, how are you guys doing? And in the Bible, it's like, hey, plagues. And so we got a plague here, and a lot of people are like, no, the plague is a hoax, but the thing you gotta fear is the number of the beast, man. That's what we're looking at for. That's what we're really worried about. Or the New World Order. Because wrestlers are like the nipples of people. All right? I love you. And from like 2009 to 2013, 2012, I lived in Denton and I just hung out with musicians and went to college like every day. That's all I did. Go with me and I'll show you the way. And I say, oh, 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 oh. Sorry. The band is called Spooky Folk, and I consider them all friends. The song is called Ghost. And I feel like the full moon, Uranus energy is seeping in. The last piece of news that I had seen was that one of the head dudes of Space Force got the coronavirus. And there are 7 billion people on the planet. And the coronavirus is something that has affected every single town in one way or another across the planet almost all year. And so, hey, I get everybody's got their own opinion about the virus. I'm glad we cleared that up. And I respect the fact that you're allowed to have your opinion about the book of Revelation or God. Or if you want to think that like my 9th president was like the greatest fucking guy ever, my favorite president is John F. Kennedy, and they killed his ass. He was super cool. Though, like I said, you should learn from Excalibur, because King Arthur chose his women poorly, and the whole kingdom fell. And then we had the Dark Ages, which led to the Spanish Inquisition. So like, you had a chance to unite Earth somewhere around then, and King Arthur chose his women poorly, and so then fuck, we had a crappy 1,000 years. And so John F. Kennedy just as well. This is what like I try to talk about, like people can be like forces of nature. And they have a thing called the Roche limits, where 2 bodies will follow around each other. And that if 2 bodies can't orbit each other properly, one tears the other to shreds. And so, you know, JFK did it, Marilyn Monroe. I'm just saying that like, we don't know exactly why JFK got killed. But, you know, sometimes I mean, I'm saying many a time, many men have died due to jealous men. I don't know if you knew that. I hope you were having a day. Have you checked out the latest model before the sun went down on Hurricane Zeta? Like, it's a tiny little ball that fit into a giant tea-looking bird storm. So prayers up for the people of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. May the miracle find you when you need it. And so that's just 5 days into the election. Trump and his group are like, we're the only good ones. Everybody else is evil. Either you believe in their belief system or everyone else is evil. And I'm fucking sick of that narrative. For sure, absolutely 100%. Like I said, I could lose half my subscribers. I could lose my YouTube channel. Heck, I could possibly even lose my life. But it's the truth. And that all he had to do was wear a fucking mask in March and say, hey, boys, girls, children, adults, grandparents, wearing a mask is strong, smart, defensive, caring, and cool. Let's all wear masks. We're all mask motherfucking wearers. Like Batman, except ironically, the only part we're really covering is the mouth. But still mask. But he didn't do that. He unleashed the National Enquirer accusers. Like today, it's like there's corruption in the government. Well, hey, thanks for that fucking newsflash, bro. Whoa, this is really smashing my cognitive dissonance and shattering my entire worldview. Did you guys hear that? There's apparently corruption in our political process. That the real fucking, everybody got mad at everybody. We started talking about petroleum, Christians, and Muslims under Jimmy Carter. Hijacked the plane. And now your gas prices are fucked. And it's Jimmy Carter's fault. And then Russ Perot's like, I'm going to save the day. I don't know if you guys remember that. I remember I was working at a TV station. Sometimes people are like, hey, what world events do you remember that were so wow, I remember this moment? I'm like, well, one of them was Waco. Because I worked at a TV station, and that TV station, we had TVs everywhere, like it was a news organization, kind of. And so you walk in the room where we got a bunch of TV screens and 4 or 5 screens. There's Waco, which is just down the road, 150 miles, totally on fire. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? You're like, send in the FBI and the ATF. And what was it talking about? Oh yeah, 9 presidents. So it went from Jimmy Carter, who was friendship, jelly beans, peanuts, and building homes for homeless people. Yeah, Reagan was they were like, fuck this guy. Well, technically 98% of all people are like, yes, Jimmy Carter was a cool man and a good Christian. You know, pre-social networking, in most posts I would guess that we all agree that out of dudes, Jimmy Carter was a pretty good dude. Everybody's like, yeah, he's a pretty good dude. Though he sucked at keeping oil prices low. Oh, the irony. And he looked weak on military, war, defense, security, because he was a nice guy. So in comes cowboy Ronald Reagan. And if you don't think they learned their lessons from John F. Kennedy going up against, what was his name? to where John F. Kennedy was just a much better presentable candidate? It was Nixon, wasn't it? And they're like, oh, okay. You know, people will be attracted to people's charisma and charm. And so that became a factor, kind of, for presidents. And then we had Star Wars. So it was like, hey, everybody, buckle up. Like the movie that was written and made in Jimmy Carter's final year, 1977. The big movie of the year happened to be the defense proposition and schedule and what we went through with Reagan. It was like, not only do we have Star Wars the movie coming at you in a non-propaganda style, we now have an entire Star Wars intercontinental ballistic missile space system with satellites and space shuttles. So there we were in the fucking 80s, late 70s, 80s. I'm 7, 8 years old. We're talking about satellites and space shuttles. Fast forward 40 fucking years, and we have not advanced. We're still talking about satellites that don't do anything different than they did back then. Like, remember, they took pictures of Mars in like the 60s or 50s on the planet. And so we're still talking about pretty much the same technology shit. All they did was put in, like, you got computers. Well, they had computers in the 80s. So it's like everything has been colossally dumbed down. Damn. And death is all around. So I don't know what's going to happen next. The other night, I dreamed I died in my dream a bunch of times. And then last night, I dreamed I kissed Selena Gomez a couple times. Dreams are weird. And so I got to go vote. And me personally, as I said, you're entitled to your own belief, man. If you want to give your grandmother coronavirus this Thanksgiving or Christmas or even just some random week, you go right ahead, dude. I can't fucking stop you. You know, the Bill Burr made a joke about like, all right, you don't want to wear a mask? You don't want to play any defense? Fine. Take out your cousin with asthma. Take out your grandparents. Take out, like. And that Mars is going. The astrology and the planets have been very anomalous this year. If I could be wrong, but my calculations were, I think the last time you had Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn, and remember it's like neighborhoods as these planets roll around the solar system. Each part of the solar system, our sky, I mean the galaxy around it, it's like a neighborhood. And so we go through the solar system neighborhood as planets. And so you've had Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn for a couple of years now. 2.5 a year. Well, and so and that, I don't think that's happened in like 80,000 years. But even at best, if I missed the number, it's 5,000 years. It's still like thousands. We haven't had this energy in lifetimes of generations of generations. It's a big deal. And so during this time, usually I think Mars, we're talking about neighborhoods. Same theory that the planets are basically in neighborhoods around. What neighborhood are they in? There are 12 or 13 neighborhoods that they go around. Like towns. Okay, think of them as towns or cities. And so Aries is like war neighborhood or ambition neighborhood or I'm a man dude neighborhood. I'm a warrior neighborhood. And so I think usually Mars spends like a month and a half in Aries, which is its home neighborhood. That was the town that Mars was born. So it always feels like, hey, I was born here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know these streets. And so with the retrogrades and everything that is going on, Mars has been in and will be in its neighborhood for 6 months. So since what was it, June, July? Since June, July, Mars went into Aries. And so it's still going to be in Aries. It's now retrograding backwards. And then it'll go forwards and Mars won't get out of Aries. And remember, when we saw Mars, if you went out to look at it, it was bright and beautiful and you could see the moons. And on the stage, it was straight across from Jupiter and Saturn. And now Venus is rising in the morning. I'm saying, so Mars has definitely been a big player in all this, along with Jupiter and Saturn. And that everything will be super Marsy until January. Which is very interesting because we've been going through this super Capricorn school for the last 5 to 2 years. And that's Saturn and Jupiter on the same day will pretty much leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius. And as Sagittarius, I can pretty much tell you that I don't think Capricorn energy or the Capricorn neighborhood is Jupiter's favorite neighborhood. I'm not even sure it's Saturn's favorite neighborhood. Anyways, they're both leaving into Aquarius. So it is very interesting that we've been having this total Capricorn fest. And that Mars will still be in Aries as we transfer from all the Capricorn old status quo energy to the energy of the future. So it does have a very Back to the Future effect. Where you're having like waves back and forth between dimensions in time and space and quantum spooky actions. And it's definitely strange. And I'm here with you still. It has been a weird 8 years. I mean, can you think about that? So basically, when I pretty much turned 40, I was like, hey man, what do I want to do for my 40s? You know, like I did my 10s, did my 20s, did my 30s. Then boom, as a man, you know, this is like your peak time of what are you going to do with all your peakiness? Or you should be hitting on all cylinders. I know you guys like the 70-year-olds. We're like, man, if I had to look to someone for absolute leadership and to be commander-in-chief or president, I want a 70-year-old white man. They're big on that, at least now. But I'm thinking, you know, still, as a man, for me, mid-30s to like 50 or 47 were supposed to be the like, dude, I better be knocking. Well, I was as a screenwriter, movie maker. That was the time I would imagine I would be knocking it out of the park. And so, you know, for my 40s, most people are getting married, already have family, getting that big house or their 3 cars or the second house, or like they're in a very structured how you live your life. You know, like since the 80s, it's been showing you this way. You get the house, 3.2 kids, the 2.3 cars, and a bunch of fur coats and as many diamonds and jewels as you can get. And a whole lot of stocks. And so for me, it's like, dude, all right, how do I want to spend my 40s? I was like, okay, I'll start a YouTube channel. So I pretty much spent 8/10 of my 40s at YouTube. And now, I've been in a foxhole for like a couple years. Just barely keep my head above water money-wise. I mean, I don't have enough money to go into dentist and do teeth shit, which if I could spend money, I would. At the moment, I don't have a car. I haven't had a car for 2 years. I haven't kissed a woman since December 2017. So, it's been a weird road for me. And I've invested all my time and effort into whatever this is. But on that note, like I was saying before, I started my YouTube channel when I went back to college. And at that time, I was thinking about becoming a screenwriting professor. First, it was going to be at the University of North Texas. And then I was going to be at the University of Texas, Arlington. And then all those plans got blown up. It's almost like the universe was micromanaging me to be Planetary Defense Commander. All right, what was I talking about? Oh, but during the time right before I thought I was going to be a screenwriting professor, and I'm telling you, being a screenwriting professor in Denton, Texas, would have been a good life. It would have been a good life. Anyway, so from like 2008, 2009 to like 2012, 2013, during that amazing period in time, I got to hang out with just a bunch of cool people and musicians like all the time. Yeah, there was drinking and smoking. So Spooky Folk, they were buddies of mine, and I keep thinking about this song, if you don't mind me playing it. But it's just weird how pertinent this song is today. And if there's one argument I have is sometimes you can't feel soul. When someone's singing a song, it's like, I hear the song, technically it's wonderful, but it's just like there's no soul in this song, right? And so the lead singer and the whole band, Kaleo, anyway, they had soul. So like this was the vibe. We knew 2012 was gonna be crazy, am I right? And so this was like the Asteroid Fight Club vibe we had in 2012, and it was a big group of cool ass people who were really good at what they did, and what they did was be funny and play good music. I'm tired of thinking about death and dying. But cheers, y'all. And so, I don't know what's gonna happen next. you know I'm around. All right. And so, like, to me, whether it be spiritual, emotional, real life, like, we're just submerged in passive war. And so, like, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but they're definitely playing the, like, there is no push for peace or teamwork yet. And so I'm treating, like, the last few days of October like we're in a horror film, bro. And I plan to survive and get the fuck out of this stupid ass genre. And so, like I told y'all, that I wasn't gonna be listening to people much in October. Because we have watched like a chain of bad decisions and bad ideas all year. That, like, no good ideas were allowed to float whatso fucking ever. Because we're just trapped in some weird business world where the more you fuck shit up, the more money there is to be made. And so I'm the same 7-year-old kid that wants war to end and people to get along. And I do believe good men and women have kept civilization standing for the last 120 years. A spoken and unspoken agreement that has kept people together across the world moving forward. And that it would be great to have more people on a planetary defense team. Because Earth laws only extend and apply 100 miles above Earth. Above there are no laws. Asterisk. Okay. Yeah, so things are fucking weird. And as I've said before, we were at this one point in time where the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, had talked to the Navy, the Marines, the Army, the Air Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, FBI, CIA, ATF. Like, he had a chance to talk to everybody, every secret agency we don't have public numbers, names for. He could have asked every other agency in the world, including like MI6, like Mossad. He had 4 months to collect as much fucking data as possible. And he did. At that time, he told us there's only 15 cases of the coronavirus in the United States of America, and soon that number will drop to 0. To me, that was a bigger epic fail than invading Iraq after 9/11. And so, just like in 2004, 5, 6, we were trying to explain to people why invading Iraq for 9/11 really doesn't make, like, whoa, that, like, we're there again, man. Where that, like, the head dude of our corporation country looked the American people in the eye and said, we only have 15 fucking cases. Look, dude, I did all my fucking research. And we're dropping to 0 soon. So yeah, I will finish out 2020 as Planetary Defense Commander. But if he wins, I quit. And I don't mean that in a baby kind of way. I just mean it like, all right, we are fucking giving up. That like the right is going to war with the left. And that like it is just some fucking giant talk shit about Hillary Clinton for 4 more fucking, like, they're not just... Like Trump mentioned Joe Biden and had the crowd cheering, lock him up. Like if him and his buddies want to just fucking lock everybody up. And remember, QAnon promised they were going to lock up like 500 bad guys in his first term. That shit didn't happen. And so if we're 4 years in and the plan is just lock up the bad guys, like you should have done some of that shit in the first 4 years if you're going to do it. And he keeps talking about going back to normal. Like if we just got hit with the Twin Towers fell, and then they're like, oh, hey, dude, we're going back to normal soon. Don't you fucking worry about it. The mortality rate on planes hitting skyscrapers is so fucking low. Do you know how many human beings die from a fucking skyscraper getting hit? It is like 0.00001%. Well, the coronavirus has killed way more fucking Americans than fucking terrorists, bro. And that would mean that like Google and YouTube and the truth community and the weather, space weather would stay political and stay super pro-Trump. It's so weird that like the entire truth community is like, yeah, dude, no, trust the plan. And buy Bitcoin. Although, yeah, Bitcoin's a good investment. If investing is your thing. I mean, they are rolling up states like with lockdowns. We're talking 4-week fucking lockdowns. And so I've been telling you all about the October second phase lockdown since February. So here we are. And at the last debate, I've had 9 presidents. And so, as an American, it is my right to be completely disappointed and crestfallen with the presidential state that we are in. So I still have to rent a lift, go to a polling place, vote. I'm gonna live back with a 1% chance of catching the fucking virus. It seems like a fucking hell of a tax. And I'll tell you what, bro, at this point, I think he fucking faked the coronavirus. He's like, I got an idea. Here's what I'll do. I will tell the people I got the coronavirus. I'll disappear for 3 days. And then I'll come back wearing a Superman shirt that says like, dude, I am just like the Bible Revelation said. I'm the dude that comes back and kicks the deep state in the nuts. New World Order's going down. Swamps. I'm getting rid of swamps, man. Getting rid of swamps. And then in 3 days, and then I'll just, boom, it'll look like it's no big deal. And at the same time, one of my buddies and investors who is in Regeneron, I will say this is the greatest product you should ever have. And it will save your fucking ass. All right, that's a great idea. And so that's what it totally feels like. To me, you can have your own wild conspiracy theory. I'm not saying that is the truth. I'm just saying this just seems odd that he had it and he's now doing 3-day, he's one state, fly next state, fly to next state, one state, fly to next state, fly to next state. As I said at the very beginning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch a lot of other countries. But the 2 I watch the most are be Russia and Israel because they're 2 dudes that have been in there for 20 years. And hey, guess what? They both went into lockdown, like hardcore lockdown. Now France and Italy did. And I don't know if you know this, but like America's only been around for like 270 odd years. And so there are a lot of countries, the countries that are older than us, some of the countries, that's like how they're handling it. And even Switzerland, who was like, dude, we're just going to open everything up. That was Putin's first thing. He's like, fuck it, we're opening everything up. And that was Putin. And they threw like 3 dudes off buildings. Doctors went on camera, or doctors started telling people, hey man, we don't have the proper gloves. We don't have the proper masks. We don't have the proper things. And 3 of those doctors got thrown off like 3-story, 4-story buildings. I think some of them died, or some of them only lived with broken bones. And so, and then it was like, fuck it, we were opening up. And then now it's like, we're going to lockdown. And so I still got get a big bottle of whiskey. Because like I said, regardless of who wins, we're going back into fucking lockdown, man. It's like I'm talking to fucking children. At least the truth community. But like they don't even understand that viruses. That like, dude, you don't know what the mutated winter wave is going to be like. I've been talking about the mutated winter wave all fucking year. Yeah, sure, it's so much easier to be like, yeah, it's a hoax. Don't worry about it, bro. You ain't got anything to worry about. There's nothing to worry about. We don't have to plan for shit. We don't have to deal with shit because it's all a motherfucking hoax. We are choosing the easiest fucking option possible. And we are going back to normal as soon as this motherfucking election is over. Well, every single one of those dudes looks like a complete fucking incorrect person. In my eyes. Like I said, I got a fundraiser going on, And they have been cracking down. The super Google hackers, like my numbers have dropped from like 3 months ago, it was like 180,000 views. And then it was like 90,000 views. Now it's like 60,000 views. But they're not only doing it to me, they're doing it like across a lot of the YouTube platforms where they have been siphoning our super chat money. They have been siphoning our views and view money for their own channels. And that seeing that there's a chance that their entire group might be going under a different situation, they have gotten super greedy over the last few months. Like unbelievably fucking greedy. And they basically told y'all that this virus isn't a problem and that it is going away after the election. They've spent all their time, all their clout, all their energy, all their resources, all of everything they had, guaranteeing everyone that after the election, the coronavirus, the hoax, the no worse than the flu is just gonna go away. That we are returning back to normal. And so, I don't think that's the case. And that we will know for sure in 5.5 days. Like Elon Musk, a businessman, he's been telling everybody, hey man, it's a fucking hoax. It's no big deal. There's no winter wave. You ain't got to worry about winter wave. Like, why should anyone think about a winter wave? Because it's not that big of a fucking deal. It is the evil media. They made it all up. And so the rubber hits the road in 5.5 fucking days. And when I started this video, the last piece of news I saw was that one of the head dudes of Space Force had gotten the coronavirus. And so it's like having a 200-sided dice. And if you roll the dice and get a 1, you die. And like half the people are like, hey, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Even though we can somehow lessen it and then deal with it for 2.5 years. And you even got to take a vaccine. If it follows the path of other viruses, it'll go away in 2 or 3 years. But if you roll a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, or a 7, you're going to have some lung problems. You're going to have some energy problems. You might have liver problems, kidney problems, eyeball problems, brain problems the rest of your life. So it's just incredible how dumb we are as a collective. Left brain, right brain. They're like looking back. They're like, I spent 7 years getting us ready for 2020. I spent 7 years. And up even before Trump got here, during Obama, was like, do not trust politicians at all. Because you know what? You know who's probably accusing groups of being the deep state? The deep state It's called gaslighting. So the deep state then accuses anyone, like the non-deep state, of being a deep state. Anywho. But like I said, you can check out the Truth Community and they will tell you exactly what's going to happen next. Like apparently the new thing now is that like Biden's going to disappear in 2 weeks and then Kamala Harris is the new Obama. So she's going to take your motherfucking guns away. Like she's going to marry AOC, and AOC's hot and passionate. But like everybody's plans seem to be missing shit. What's he talking about? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking about boobs, man. Crap! It like clears your brain or whatever the hell you're thinking about. Combine, I don't know. Close your eyes and think of the most beautiful smile you've ever seen. And then the most beautiful pair of boob physics in motion. And then clear brain, and what's your first thought after that? I got off the rails there. I'm sick of the status quo. And the status quo keeps super doubling down on like during one of the rallies, Trump just said everything's going back to normal after the fucking election. So at this point, he said, fine, you can drop my views to like 100 of video. They can steal my PayPal money, my Venmo money. Like they can do what they, and then, but it's worth it to get to the election. It's weird, dude. Trump had $270 million forgiven by the Deutsche Bank. I believe it was Deutsche Bank. And he still has $470 million in debt. That is all due by 2022. And, I know some people have trouble with math and things like that, but, like, I don't know. When was the last time you had a bank forgive any of your debt? Just like, oh, $270 million? Forget about it. Forget about it. And another weird thing, maybe I don't know everything, but I'm saying that like every time that there's been like a peace deal in the Middle East, Trump takes like 10-minute break from his campaigning to be like, I did that. I want credit. I did that. I'm like, why? Can't you do that with the USA? But I don't know, like Trump and Grand Solar Minimum, and they're all like, dude, he's gonna win. And so, and they're also like, hey, it's a hoax, it's a pandemic. If, and we're gonna be tomorrow, the sun's never gonna wake up again, we're in the middle of a fucking ice age. And QAnon's going to arrest 500 of the worst people tomorrow, right before the election. That's going to be the October surprise that all their promises are going to hit like bang, 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 bang. So who knows, man? So I do know that they can't evict me before the election because I paid last month's rent. And my electricity bill doesn't come in until like the 10th. So barring a heart attack or assassination, I'll get to find out So sure, tighten the screws on me. You could even, like, if they take my channel, like, we got a big shift coming in December. And if Trump wins, the Trump and the truth community are going to do everything they can to wipe out the left. We're going to get rid of the evil left. Destroy them. Oh. Fuck that. I don't want to be part of that shit. Like I said, I'm quitting Planetary Defense Commander. 2020 is my last year. Although this hurricane season, Texas has been fucking super protected. And it definitely seems easier to just try and help manage Texas than to deal with all the other 49 fucking states. And I didn't exactly see the guys in Colorado throwing out their backs and elbows trying to warn people and inform people about the horrible Colorado fires that have been taking place. Fuck, it's like that whole group was just a bunch of businessmen. I could be wrong. We'll see, though. There's a new Sunspot. I'm gonna get another beer. You want anything? No matter what happens, though, you know, about a week after the election, I most likely will just completely stop talking about politics. I laugh every time they're like, remember for 8 years they were like, Obama's gonna take your fucking guns away. And dude, you would need 5 to 6 police or military per house in the United States to come in, knock on your door and say, hey, we need your guns. Which is like, that would never happen. And that if you even tried to do that, you would lose over half your police and over half your military the second you even fucking proposed it. That's why when I hear Texans talk about, they're gonna take our guns away, man. They're gonna take our guns away. Who? How? Man? You know? It's kind of like the whole thing about like this, the school shootings. It's been like the Republicans and the Democrats have been like a horrible couple that had children, and so now just fight. Every time they have to exchange the children, they just fight each other completely. Like, they're the worst horrible fucking person. They're the evil satanic beast ever. They destroyed our country. And then they exchange the kid, and they're like, they're the worst fucking evil motherfucker. They destroyed everything. And so that by both sides talking shit about each other nonstop and dehumanizing and accusing each other of being demons the whole time, that is the crazy shit that leads people to just fucking walk into an Arby's and shoot everyone in sight. That like giant collective waves nonstop of that shit lead to that shit. And so the same thing with racism, like, you want to teach people to treat each other well and that we all have inherent value. And that's what I'm like, just like white supremacists, like, just because we're white, we're the greatest fucking race ever, we're the greatest group. Black Sun, like I said, to me that's what Trump is. The Trump group is like, we're the greatest people of all fucking time because we believe in Trump and we voted for Trump. We are now the greatest generation ever. And we hate everybody else. It's all their fault. And I definitely think there's a large contingent who only care about money, who's playing both sides like fiddles. And Trump, I mean, that's what it's like, kindergarten level shit. Oh, in Russia, they did a fucking, you gotta wear a mask. Like Putin, we're like in America, you can walk into a Buc-ee's and if someone's like, you gotta wear a mask, then that woman or man can scream at the people and kick over shelves and then like call everybody a bunch of horrible names and then leave. And in Russia, if you don't wear a mask, Putin can throw you off the roof. And so that's just the weird shit about it, that like all Trump had to do was be like, hey, everybody wear a mask, wash your hands, and then you could have kept everything open. But we didn't do that. So like now the gigantic step either fucking way after the election is convincing Americans to wear a mask. So like I said, if Trump wins, there's no fucking way I want to be planetary defense commander to everybody out there who's scared of masks. I have had to deal with enough dumb shits at this fucking channel. The shit I've had to read, the dumbest shit ever. I do not want to subject myself to that. So like I said, this is like my 8-year fundraiser. I think I've raised like $37. And if that is what my reward shall be for 8 years of giving y'all everything, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I did my absolute best job to help us all keep it together, move forward as one Earth family, and help make it through whatever comes our way. And so, if the fucking whole civilization collapses, it won't be on my watch. Because I did my fucking 8 years. You try to deal with fucking Ben Taylor, Elon, Diamond, Tony, Trump, like, you have to fucking deal. I feel like Tony fucking Fauci. I'm just trying to tell people to do the smart, logical thing. Well, who knows what I'm going to do? Who knows what's going to happen? And I definitely have heard 10 to 20 times that the best rewards would come to me if I quit my channel, if I quit trying to tell people the truth publicly. Then I can live a much better life. So like I said, yeah, so if Trump wins, because it's just so fucking weird to me to see, like, it's, to me as a Texan, who do you love more, Texas or Trump? And I got tons of people like, Trump. If I had to choose, well, who I love more, what I love more, Texas or Trump, I'm choosing Trump. I'm like, dude, I don't even fucking know you, bro. I don't even know you, man. There's so many Texans I love and protect, like, that I've known, and I love this state, and this state has always been good to me. And I do not know anything in this state. Thank you, WB. Yeah, I absolutely love Texas 1,000 times more than Trump. And I do not know anything in Texas that Trump has improved since he became fucking president. The only thing I know is that Elon and Joe Rogan were like, oh, we're moving there now. So yeah, like I said, if he wins, this is my last year as Planetary Defense Commander. I did a great job. And, I'll do it. I'll dial it back and just do what I can to protect Texas. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe I'll open up memberships to Thor News at $10 a pop. But you gotta be a Texan to fucking get the fucking membership. We'll see what happens. So, like I say, in like France and a bunch of places, and like total lockdown, like no bars, no restaurants. Like we're back to super essential service. We're back to March, bro. Totally back to March. And so, I bought my groceries. I can still buy more. You can always buy more canned goods. Still got to get some whiskey. I definitely don't. You never have enough green. Or I don't. Or vapey, whatever. And then, like, you gotta, mentally prepare for the next month of, like, everybody's back in fucking lockdown. And I don't give a shit if you're like, man, we're not going back into lockdown. You'd be as wrong as you were in fucking February or January. I would love more of a classroom environment to where, I didn't have to deal with the devil's advocate and 1,000 of them. Because it has been definitely a hell of a thing for me to openly, to everyone publicly, that I'm here for all y'all. And that I represent everyone in every fucking country. And I'm just here to try to get us to work together as a team and a family and move forward as a civilization. Help us evolve. That's what God, Jesus, and how I've grown up believing. That was the way forward. And let me tell you, it has been a different world since Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and now Donald fucking Trump. And I swear, it's like, everybody's acting like they've only seen 3 presidents in their whole life. And everybody acts like fucking 9/11 and then the next 8 years of us invading Iraq and the war on terror never happened. Let me tell you what things can happen. I would guess Biden's going to win. And I would guess Biden is going to win big. And then, I definitely think we will get a national mask mandate. And that some way it could be illegal for you to not wear a mask. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Just kind of like, you may not think it is illegal or wrong. You may think that if you drink 10 shots of tequila, getting drunk is a hoax. They're like, that's a lie. It's a liberal lie by the liberal media. If you drink 10 shots of tequila, nothing happens. It's like water. Getting drunk is a hoax. Getting buzzed is a super hoax. So I can fucking drink 25 shots of tequila and then get in a giant Ram Charger, souped up, drive around. And then if the cops pull you over, you're like, you guys are trying to get me for a hoax. Puff, puff, pass. Thanks, Dan. They're like, the overall attitude will be somewhere between what we have now in Russia. Like I said, Putin don't fuck around, as far as I know. And Netanyahu doesn't fuck around either. But the weird thing is, if you've been following Israel, they've been having a hard time getting people to follow directions or orders. That like by mismanaging all 9 months, like the whole globe is super fatigued and crazy and tired of just dealing with it. And so some people, like I said, have been in denial, like, it's not real, it doesn't exist, it's a fucking hoax. And so I've tried to explain to y'all, even though it's like the easy thing to think that, oh, everybody's unified in some deep state Illuminati group. They're all following the same plan. That for almost a year now, you had 215 totally different countries trying to deal with it in their own ways. And that they have to deal with each other. They're like, whatever happened with India and China, where they got mad at each other, it has now become a U.S., like, where India's like, are you going to support us? And we're like, sure, absolutely. Versus China. And I'm like, why are we fighting? So that, like, whatever relations that were already happening before, all of them have been strained. Just like like we all have. Like, we have been fumbling our way through this thing the entire fucking time. Like, the mental tenets of capitalism have totally fucked up our ability to work together as a team. Like it's like, as soon as you get people working together for the common good of each other, you have a bunch of people screaming socialism. Like, hey man, no, we can't be fucking, you can't, we need a monetary obligation and reason to why we have to be helping everybody out, or it's from the devil. We can't work together. That's fucking socialism. So like I said, like religion and politics, and it's everything is a business, and doom and fear. It's a business. Dude, I'm tired of this business. This Capricorn old school that from the industrial age to the television age, like the industrial age, the car age, the television age, now we're in the digital age. And that the petroleum and war shit really ain't working. And it's a whole giant deal. And so, like, let's imagine, so it's like you guys, and there's 7 billion of y'all. And then there's me, Planetary Defense Commander. And then there's the oil industry. And the oil industry is not one giant thing. It's also a bunch of families, a bunch of groups, and a bunch of teams, and a bunch of parts, and a bunch of tradition, and a bunch of history. And it's been super powerful since like 1888. And so like that industry alone has been the king and like helped drive the engine that moved everything forward. But we are transferring into the digital age, which is the future. But still, it is like, no, we are king of earth. This is our way. But it's like, I think everything around us is evolving. So it's like, everything always moves forward. Everything continues to progress eventually. And so every time I hear 99.9999999% of every single one of y'all, every single one, you guys have like no concept of what it is like to discuss or deal with the oil industry. And so we were talking about as a planet trying to adapt to the future and the change with the Earth evolution, the Earth changes. That's like the ultimate trigger word. Climate change. It's like the carbon tax is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But the carbon tax is the James Webb Space Telescope. A lot of oil and gas men have worked their ass off, and women, for 120, 34 years, 135. And they have helped provide the thing that moved civilization forward, that powered it. And the 60s is weird. The post-atomic age, shall we say. It's like we're talking about like nuclear reactors. Like the atomic age, they're like, man, we just came up with the atomic fucking age. It's like one little building that can power an entire city for 100 years. And then it's like 40 years later and you're like, nah, it really didn't do that much. It really wasn't that great. Like what, how much power in the whole scheme of things on our power grid does these nuclear reactors, who are supposedly super fucking dangerous, how much power do they provide? And the fallout from Fukushima still has been weird, where it seemed like a lot of people should have died after a 10-year span, but it doesn't look like that is going to, not to the levels we thought were going to happen. But who knows, maybe we got some Incredible Hulks or Spider-Mans that have just not come out yet. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, like I said, it's Planetary Defense Commander. This, even though I'm going to finish out the year, but it's like a 5.5 days to know if, like I'm putting in my 2 weeks-ish. And it's strange to me because I've discussed how my stepdad, when I asked him, like, dude, master plan, or like, no, there's no plan. And that is the vibe, like, dude, there's a bunch of groups. At this point, it doesn't look like there is a master plan happening. And so, going into this election, yeah, it doesn't look, there's no fucking, it was the baby boomers the baby boomers had 40 years to figure out how to deal with Social Security and how to deal with healthcare. We saw these problems on the table mathematically and population growth expansion wise as clear as day. And I was raised in a school system to where you were handed educated problems like that, like, hey, what ideas do you have? Because technically, by the year 2020, it will have been your responsibility to figure it all out. So here we are, 2020. And that the biggest elephant in the room is like having a for-profit healthcare system at a time where you have inflation happening across the board, that eventually the system is going to price out the patient. And especially and so like that has been there for 40 years, and like, how do you pay for it? It's been there for they had 40 years. I mean, sure, it was me too, but I was 7, so I was doing my best since then to figure it out. And so there's no plan. And going into the election, that's to me, that's the big thing, is watching Biden and Trump argue for 10 minutes during national security segment of the debate about each other's tax returns or business dealings. Like that is not an asteroid fight club level of national security in any way, shape, or form. That like we need to be having real conversations. Like I consider natural disasters a form of national security. And technically for hurricanes, we're doing great. And we just got hit by like a zillion. It was almost like the machine just really was launching them at us. And just like Ender's Game, it's like, all right, how do we not have cities destroyed? And so in that regard, we've done great. And since 2017, we've been doing great with the weather, how to adapt to it. I mean, the fire situation. And I even ask you to look at the weather community on Twitter or anywhere. That like, since I started covering weather, which was like 2013, like everything changed. Like how the weather game got, I did a good job. And shout out to Cranky Weather Guy as well. And to everybody on the kick-ass hashtag WX Twitter team, like all weather lovers out there. It was a fun group to get educated with by like everybody. Like it's a fun group. Weather lovers. But there are guys out there who are like, oh my God, I'm standing in a hurricane. I'm more of a guy who's like, oh my God, rainbow. I would rather see a rainbow than a hurricane or a tornado. I was talking about space weather. Like I would like to see auroras in my lifetime. I'm 48, better get to work. Because that shit costs money. But I definitely think every human being on the planet at some point in time should get to be in the sky under an aurora. Maybe I read too many Ray Bradbury books. Like to understand the atmosphere well enough as you're trying to combine it with the Bible or the Torah, or what? I just forgot it. The Quran. They're like auroras, bro. Auroras. The heavens. And it's strange. It's like rock and roll and music and movies and television used to be more exciting than the heavens above to me as an observer. But now, definitely most, the heavens, as I've gotten older, I've re-understood the like, we are surrounded and covered by magic mysteries we don't fully understand in the sky at all times. And even changes from day and night to where like the whole point of the time-space continuum part is like, okay, It rotates between, it is totally dark, except for there are lights in the sky like fireflies. Some fireflies are like fire whales. And then the giant ball of light comes out. That is crazy. And it just does that. And people are like, why does it do that? How does it do that? When did it do that? And science is like, let me tell you. It started doing that 8 billion years ago. It was because of a giant cloud of gas and dust. They're really heavy. And bam, all this shit just happened. You got the day and the night. The stars and the planets. The sun and the moon. And then dogs and boobs. Horses and cupcakes. And then eventually me here with you. What's it talking about? Dan said puff puff pass. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Kick-ass Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a very Bill Murray Halloween. I feel like we spent the last 10 years or 20 years with everybody freaking out going, holy shit, no one here is perfect. And I'm angry at the flawed and sinner. I'm angry at the flawed and the sinners. Oh. I'm glad you're here with me. I don't know if it's delusions of grandeur, but I think I've done a great job. Technically, I consider myself the best video maker on the planet. If you went through my 4,000 videos and you picked the top 10 video and you put them up against every other video maker on the planet in the last 20 years, 10 years, 7 years, 8 years, my top 10 would stand up with any other top 10 video maker. And I make videos that like they're as relevant today, if not more, than they were back then. Like volcanoes have not gone on style, asteroids have not gone on style, the sun's solar flares, like the grand transition. It's like, hey y'all, doom is coming, Astro Fight Club, we gotta get ready. How are we gonna handle that shit? And then we got Space Force, and I got all excited, and that happened in 2019, like it's official, it's an official military branch. So I thought it would go uphill, and then it did not. And then today, the Space Force got like, I may get coronavirus. Like, there's so much weird shit happening with it. The fact that you have like 65% of the people across the globe wearing masks and trying to deal with it, and a lot of shit that we didn't do. Like a lot of the bars have been shut down. A lot of people have stayed home. To see the numbers we're seeing now in line with what we were seeing in March across the, like, the winter wave is definitely stronger and more contagious-y and more infectious-y. And so I'm personally going to try and play the game. Like, I want to avoid the coronavirus if I can, like a game. In my theory, I got another year and a half to go, and hopefully it will have, if it does go away, it would be like, we got like a year and a half left to go. And by then we'll know if it is geoengineered, so it may have properties that will not have it disappear in a year and a half, but we still have more time to collect data. That's how I'm looking at it. And so some people have been like, fuck it, you can only live once. And I understand that, man. You don't want to live in fear of a virus. But I'm saying that the winter wave definitely seems more potent, and more like we are seeing the numbers that are it got stronger. And or maybe it is that like actual flu season has kicked in. So you're now battling the flu and the virus. And then for those people out there who are battling sexually transmitted diseases, you don't want to catch those either. I have never had herpes, but I've talked to people who've had herpes, and they're like, man, you don't want that shit. I'd be like, okay, dude, I'll do what I can to avoid herpes. And learning from King Arthur and John F. Kennedy, I would try and choose the women that I would take the chance of getting, because you never know, man or woman. Making love or having sex is very strange, but like, there are benefits, there are positives and negatives. Man, the world's a crazy place, huh? It's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to have sex again. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be like, okay, I'm going to take this risk. I found a candidate. I'm going to take risks. Because dating has gotten weird, and we've all gotten crazier over the last 3 years. Like, I don't know a lot of people like, man, I'm a lot less crazy than I used to be. Oh man, 2.5 beers, I might be wasted. Because I definitely have deviated from my non-presidents. As I chat with you, what is it, Wednesday? But this is like full moon energy. Uranus conjuncting it. Uranus is like, surprise, surprises. So it is like super October surprise season. And I've been dying 2 times this year. I've died in my dreams, so die in real life. I could die in my dreams tonight when I fall asleep again. But last night I dreamed I kissed Selena a couple times. What was I talking about? Yeah, presidents. So like everybody's lost their mind 5 days before the election. I have lost my mind. So I'm here with you reading it like, yeah, I don't know, 9 presidents. Whatever the situation is for my possible 10th, it's not that exciting, nor is it fun. And clearly nobody over the last 40 years has really had that great of a plan. It seems like the free markets have won out every time. Where it's been like, hey, you know what we should do? We should do this as a people. And then there were businessmen who stepped in and were like, hey, let me give you a reason why and some money why we shouldn't do the best thing. We should do somewhere in the middle. And so that has collectively happened in capitalism to where, like, as the economy post-industrial age globalized and grew bigger, that like the small corners that had been nipped over the last 40 years to the quality of living, basic human rights of all the people, the necessities that like in the 1930s and 40s, you literally had a part of the military that was like there in charge of disease control. You had like people standing on watch and checking every ship, making sure you didn't have the list of the plagues coming in. Then the airplane was like, commercial aircraft was like, we gotta stop. We can't check every plane for the plague, man. What you can do is you can buy insurance bonds. And so if 100 years from now, or 50 years from now, after the post-industrial commercial flying age of commerce, that if there does happen to be a pandemic, you could buy like bonds, insurance. So if there is a fucking $78 billion loss, then you can make all your money back. Sure, there's a plague and a pandemic, but you've just made shit tons of cash. You know what I'm saying? For the last 100 years, our system understanding plagues has been like, nah, let's just take a chance there won't be another plague. So will I get the coronavirus eventually? Maybe. And so the women I love to kiss are usually super beautiful, super smart, and have like amazing voices. Or it's just like their voice is cool. Like if you did go blind, their voice would still be as their voice was beautiful as their eyes used to be, and you're just lucky that if you had to hear one woman say a million words over the next 35 years, like you could handle that voice day in, day out. At no point in time you're like, oh my God. What's it talking about? I don't even know. Oh, and so, like, so often women that beautiful, smart, with really, really, really great voices, all creatures like perk to like, hey, even creatures be like, hey, what were you saying? Like usually women like that will have a bunch of guys and sometimes girls around them who are totally madly in love with them. So that like, if you were dating someone like that, you were stepping into whatever Spooky Jackson action quantum mechanics field of, like at a wedding, anyone in their life, like you have literally walked into their bubble in their local town. So like you kiss somebody, and by kissing that person, if you're both consenting adults that are supposed to be single, you still might make 5 to 10 people super mad and hate you and wish you were dead or try to kill you, depending on which women you kiss. If we're talking about God, like, try not to trigger people, but I'm being openly honest because it does feel like we're in super spooky season where death is fucking everywhere, and that I don't know what's gonna happen next. Will I survive? Will you survive? It's spooky. I'm going with the energy. But some people are like Halloween is evil. Like, I don't even know, but this year I guess I'm going as fucking fat Spider-Man, bro. All right, I'm down with that. I was going with something. I should definitely not get to beer number 4. Then I don't know if I will speak clearly. And so yeah. So I don't know. I kiss someone, but it is almost kissing dating season. Like it gets. I don't know if you know this, but like, I think women and people definitely get more romantic and more like, hey, it would be good to spend time during the winter months with cold inside with like a cup of coffee and just like hanging out during the winter. It definitely, women get more aggressive at taking chances romantically before Thanksgiving. There's a period like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving through New Year's where, from a male perspective, women get more aggressive about like, hey, I'm going to take a chance that I've had my eye on somebody, like, and so people can get very, I don't want to be alone for Thanksgiving. I don't want to be alone for Christmas. I don't want to be alone for New Year's. Whether they speak it consciously or subconsciously, there's a vibe in my 48 years being an adult male in courtship where life is meant to be shared with each other. Happy, laughing, feasting, smoking and drinking. If you can handle that shit and be funny. And yeah, Halloween's weird. Like, we got one day of a year. You get to dress up as anyone in the world. Anything. Whatever you want. You can just change who you are for one day. And 92% of the people are okay with it. It would be weird if a plague killed a fat spider, but that would be an interesting Hemingway sentence. How'd that spider die? The coronavirus got him. I just ain't ever heard anybody say that before. Man, now I'm thinking about bugs. This date is going good, baby. Yeah. There have been women out there who have crushes on me now. I think that's what it feels like. Now I'm super choosy. Super choosy. We're drunk. I tell you, sometimes I look at y'all and been like, man, you guys should have been choosier. I try not to judge. But so I tell it in kind of like a friend's cheers kind of a way. You know? It's kind of like I take the coronavirus seriously. I take dating seriously. So like in the Marvel world, the next Thor movie is called Love and Thunder. But now this weird comedy we're in is called like Love and the Coronavirus. It's like the story of Earth over the next year and a half. It's like your first Christmas gift after the election. Like, oh man, you mean we all got a fucking lump of coal, and as far as like the virus is real and we gotta figure out a way to deal with it. And so regardless of who wins, to have that person be like, all right, yeah, we gotta deal with it. Because even like, you've got 214 countries now who are like, hey, it's a plague, it's a virus, we're doing the best we can with it. But technically, yeah, they're not doing super great. We've not made a lot of victories on many sectors and any levels. Information, like vaccine, the whole figuring out the giant ball of wax that it actually is. What's it talking about? Yeah, fucking virus, dude. But like I said, it's like 9/11. Just ain't fucking. We're 9 months in the post 9/11 world. And people are like, we're going back to normal. It's like, no, we're not, man. This is that part of the movie at the election that, like, no matter who wins, we still got to deal with the fucking virus. And it does, probably like John Carpenter's The Thing, get worse in the winter. And so my strategy's always been, it'd be nice in October to figure out like how we're gonna spend the next 2 or 3 months. Because regardless for what happens or who wins, the fucking plague is still gonna be there. And it's gonna be there for at least another year and a half. Like they've basically been saying, hey, dipshit, we won't have a fucking vaccine in maximum distributable capacity at an affordable level before 2022. So like everybody else can be like, I didn't hear the actual information that they told us it's real. It's like the whole year, one of my favorite Thor News jokes. If I didn't have plague jokes, one of my favorite jokes was like, hey man, don't fucking talk to me or worry about a fucking vaccine in 2020. I don't want to entertain any vaccine conversations until 2021 at the earliest, because I guarantee you nobody's going to show up in your town or neighborhood at your Walgreens, be like, bam, we have the fucking antidote to the coronavirus, and you can pick up a 6-pack, some candy corn and beers, along with cereal and milk, and your coronavirus vaccine for $19.95. That shit was not going to happen. I guaranteed you that, guys, that all year long. So every time I heard anyone talking about vaccine, it's like, dude, you ain't got to fucking worry about it this year. And yeah, I'm not convinced you'll be able to worry about it next. Like, it's not. I mean, when they stick needles in people, it's usually with their babies. You know, they gotta vaccinate you. Like, That's probably where they get you. Like as a man, I've been avoiding doctors. It's like a game as a man I play that like, dude, I don't want to go doctor. I don't want to get needles stuck in me. And so on the whole vaccine thing, that like, I don't, I'm not going to worry about taking a vaccine until that option is even on the fucking table. Because, yeah, I think they vaccinated me for smallpox and whatever shit you get vaccinated for as a kid. But since then, I'm trying to stay away from doctors and needles. Unless I had tooth pain. Then I would show up at the dentist and be like, oh my God, doctor, can you get this incredibly horrible pain that is in my skull that hurts my ears and my teeth and it's just pain everywhere and I can't think and it's insane amounts of pain. Doctor, can you make this shit go away? And at some point, they're like, yeah, but they got to stick a needle, Novocaine in your gum. And so getting a needle in your gum is never the funnest experience. But I've endured it. So, I mean, I've been, So I've been very Viking in my healthcare while smoking and drinking. Or if I did get the coronavirus and it got really bad, would I go to the hospital? No, probably not. Definitely. I'd be like, fuck, it got me. And these are crazy questions I gotta ask going into holiday season. And yes, Andre's super cute. She's beautiful. Women always get me with their eyes. If you combine beautiful eyes of a woman and the voice, talk about casting spells near Halloween. As a man, that's some of the most powerful. It's like if you could put the power of Mother Nature in a woman's eyes, there it is. Aw, and so here with me is my dirty Mona Lisa and the heart. Weird. Mona Lisa kind of looks like George Washington. So if I did stop being Planetary Defense Commander, then I would like to get a PS5, and then maybe I could make videos about video games. Maybe I'll just specialize in Spider-Man, because Weapon Around the City is really cool. So if you just gave me Spider-Man and then like Grand Theft Auto, I could definitely make movie-like videos of like that were funny with whatever my style. If I didn't have to save the planet, I could probably make decent video games videos. And then in that same theory, playing of the video game live against people or just the game itself, it's kind of like the weather, where you're following the weather in the video game, the game being the weather, you get to create, like the weather's just generated. I was thought in 2020 we were to have a game that was like World of Warcraft. It was like 10 years cooler version of like a giant multi MMORPG. Well, like back in the day, I used to think about like, man, it wouldn't it be cool if you had a multi online player game, and the game itself was so cool that like everybody in the world played the game. Like that potential of like, the game is simple and cool, but it is almost like a Sim City where everybody's playing the Sim City together. And that process was so fun and adventurous, and you could build your own shit, like a combination of Sim City and then, what is the Blocks game? Minecraft. And you could even weave sports into it. Space exploration. I thought, from the evolution of video games, that eventually the video game itself, there would be the games that were so good that like everyone who had ever loved a video game would be like, hey, this game is fun to play. I still believe that potential is there. Where like you legalized marijuana, you ended World War, and that like people's video game usage went up 10 to 15%. As then we built a bunch of cool shit outside in harmony with the planet and the animals, and cleaned up all of our trash and made sure the waters on our planet were kept in water purity. Because like even as a Christian in the baptism, that like water is a special magical divine element. And that we as a global creature have an inherent duty to take care of the planet's water, like using the planet's water as like a toilet and trash can. That is a direct reflection of like the people, whether they be Indians or from India or Native American, like that, like in the 30,000 years of people, there's always been a healthy respect for water, at least among the spirit of the creature and animals as well. And we have definitely polluted a ton of shit from 1980 till now. A lot of products are petroleum, plastic bags, and that during the expansion of the system, wow, yeah. So we can all definitely do our part in helping to clean up and pick up and do our yard work across the globe. It's like you feed everybody, but everyone's got to do some yard work. And of course, the people who physically are incapable of doing any yard work would not be forced to do yard work. We would just try to get them to walk. More walking. Like simple things. It was like, I was talking about if I did run for president, then one of my first things I would ask Americans, this is before the plague, bro, would be like, as your president, as your commander in chief, I ask everyone in our country to drive cooler, smarter, with more patience, more kindness, more thought. And yeah, I want you to play worst case fucking scenario. That like if you get in a car that gets on a highway or going over 40 to 80 to 100 miles an hour with other people, worst case scenario, if you make the wrong move or get in the wrong lane, you could fucking get your head chopped off or your feet chopped off. And not only that, get other people killed because you made a mistake on the road. So I would like every adult American in the United States of America to please do what you can to be the greatest fucking driver on the planet. And everybody be cool and patient with each other. Like, that was my first presidential thing. Let's all be better drivers. Let's all be better, cooler drivers. That would have been my big fucking presidential rollout. Like, what is the fastest, easiest way we can improve America tomorrow? And so, just like hurricanes and natural disasters, the natural deaths we saw per year, people will get more aware of how to get better at natural things that they do every day or that they're involved with. And just like with driving, I believe if you got everyone to be like, hey, let's get better at this shit, or really recognize that, like, bitch, as soon as you step into a car and drive, you're in a real video game with other people, except in this reality, you could die or you could kill people around you. So, yeah, give a fuck about your score, and people who get super horrible scores should be kept off the fucking road. Let's talk about driving. And I've been obsessed with, like, the roads, man, the simple roads that we drive on or live on or walk on, that like the maintaining of our highways and streets and the build, like that is all super fascinating. And the fact that we've never really taken a step up in our infrastructure to where you literally built roads of the future, underground, above ground, like you built cities of the future. You built shit that was prepared to deal with 7 billion people on a planet. So in a simple way, I've seen like it's like we're living in a Sims game. We're all individual characters. It's like, what does everyone do? It's like, let's just fight. Talk about politics. That sucks. Plus, then it's like, bing, Sims like, you have a virus. So, I don't know what's going to happen next. I think we got one more hurricane. And we got a Peace on Earth window. December 21st, 2020. It's like a big, do you want peace on Earth window. That like, my answer is yes, baby. That like, through it all, we are going to decide in December what we want 2030 to be like. So I definitely think we should learn from everything and then pick some awesome stuff. It's like a giant economic machine with a bunch of moving parts. That is the part that we got to solve. And we've known about going from like a 2,000-year-old economic system to like eventually the same system where Jesus kicked over the fucking money changing tables. They're changing money between 215 countries. Like, we're still in that weird blood money oath system. So yeah, we're the age of Aquarius. We're like, definitely the system or the matrix or it's the economics of money and what people believe in money and what people believe in value and life. And am I making any sense at all, love? And if you'd had a crush on me for 1,000 days, what are the chances you'd just be like, man, I don't have a crush on you no more? Roy Orbison was like, pretty woman walking down the street, pretty woman, kind I'd like to meet. So what are you guys doing for Halloween? It's gonna be a full moon, and Uranus is hosting. And Uranus is like Captain Surprises. So what surprises shall show up? I do not know. A virus and an election. Because hope, yeah. I love you. Proud of you. Somehow, if I do get fired, I think I did a good job. And if I'm not Planetary Defense Commander after 2020, for whatever reason, I'll always be on a team and I'll never give up. And like, man, like back in the day, I think if told correctly, in Japan, if you were a soldier or a protector or guard of any level, if you were in the like honor code of it at some point, if you fucked up, you had to commit Harry. Like you had done your job so bad, you had to stick a fucking sword into your belly, and it was like it was almost like doing the rosary, like the you had, but there's a specific. It's like you're like, oh, dude, you got so fired, you had to fucking you had to kill yourself with a fucking sword. And it was like a whole it was like a birthday party, except it was bad. Where like everybody gathered around, fucked up. It's got like, and they're like, all right, you're right. I accepted the responsibility, and then I. It's a weird world. It's been a weird world. Life is a wild, strange, unknowable thing in its entirety and capacity of all the thingies. There's so much we don't know. There's so much we haven't figured out. And so in 2001, they had the baby floating through space in the planet. And anytime you have a baby like that, there's usually an umbilical cord somewhere. And so around outer space baby, there's a mom and boobs. You know that when the baby's born, there will be the sun and the moon, like the eyes of God. And then the whole like God is a woman. Yeah, I totally get that, and that's what I'm saying. That like our solar system, the creator, that if there was a gender between what God, the spirit of God is, of course it's the creator, and mothers create life. I'm pretty sure it's born from a vagina. So like the masculine hunter-gatherer spirit has been like, you know what we need? We need to kill a bunch of rabbits. We need to build a house. We need to make some money. We need to get more car. Like the whole masculine hunter-gatherer spirit has moved forward. It's like, and during that time, we need to have fighting. We need to have arguing. We need to have like, hey, my invisible line in place is mad at your invisible line in place. And that has moved us forward. And so during that time, like whether it be the Aztecs or the Harry Carey, where it was like the honor code requires sacrifice, because God is an angry masculine spirit. But it's probably more like God is a very grandmotherly spirit, or the spirit of the divine female. And so like no grandmother is like, yeah, I want all my kids to just fight all the fucking time. I want them all to be mad at each other about shit that was said 12 Christmases ago. That's how I want this family to go down. No. So, yeah. I would guess we're going from a more masculine, and I don't mean that in like to a more feminine spirit of just like, yeah, you can give up the caveman, kill each other with weaponized, digitalized, atomicized sticks and rocks. Well, who knows, dude? I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel who's tried to get everybody to work together and not kill each other since I've been here. And I've definitely made mistakes, and I've definitely said shit I regret, and I definitely have been wrong. And I don't have to be the best at everything, but I do like to try. I do like to be like, let's see how good I can get at this. And I have connected with y'all energetically, and there are a lot of really, 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 really great people out there. Nah, I'm full moon wasted. It is a Wednesday. And it is doomy and gloomy, and people are angry and confused, and I'm just like, hey, let's do our best and see what happens next. And I've got like 4,000 videos where I've proposed a bunch of fucking ideas. So it's like I show up at the party, like nobody has a really great plan, and then I leave. That's what I've been doing for a long time. Years, decades. Like, we need a plan. Who the fuck are you? I'm like, I don't know. Let us find out. And so if I did get to go on a date again, you know what I think would be kind of cool? If for like an hour, me and my date, like, where we didn't even talk. We could like drink coffee. We could read the book. Like, we could just look at each other, whatever, just like to be in each other's presence for an entire hour without even talking. And then we could talk on our date. Sure, that sounds weird, but it would be cool. Although technically, if we like broke after 3 minutes, I wouldn't really be upset. Although if she was like, man, it's the worst day I ever fucking had. You were no fun to look at. You smell bad. I'm leaving. Get me out of here. I'll be like, okay. Take an oatmeal pie for the road. You guys are crazy. This is so fucking crazy. Everything is so fucking nuts right now. I mean, asteroid fuckload will still be around, you know. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with Space Force. And so I guess that's where we'll find out. We'll know in December. Are we going to do some cool Star Trek-y shit? Or are we going to be like, no, it is still the 1980s. It is Star Wars. I love you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kick-ass Kwanzaa. I'm optimistic, but I feel a little impatient and frustrated. But and I'm fucking pissed that I gotta go vote and the possibility of catching a fucking virus. Like, yeah, we've done a bad job at handling it. Across the board. And it, to me, seems like none of the information I've given you throughout the entire year has been bad information. Like how to deal with it, how to prepare for it, how to handle it. And like, hey, man, wearing a mask ain't that fucking big of a fucking deal. Like just indoors, just around like business situations. And that blaming everybody for everything all the time is not going to get us anywhere forward. Being mad at people's emails from 3 years ago is still like that's like the dominating narrative. So what's the movie about? Well, someone did an email 3 fucking years ago. So like the next 3 weeks are about, let me tell you about these fucking emails. Like that's this whole show on the stage. Now I'll be like, fuck this, I'm gonna find a place that is dark and it's fun to look at Jupiter, Saturn, and planets. And maybe I'll go find some fucking auroras. I don't know. Maybe I will devolve into a Sasquatch. And instead of growing up, I will grow out. Alright. I love y'all. Please stay cool. And yeah, things are crazy. And we got a couple more months of Mars, and we're just trying to get everyone to work together as a team. But everybody's kind of living in some weird fantasy land. Like we can get by with 2019 mentality. And so there's, compared to 9/11, although it's different, where, dude, the world has just changed. So anytime I hear anybody talking about, look, we're going back to normal soon, it's like just like fucking 9 months after the fucking tower, all 3 buildings fell, and just having somebody stand up, like Biff from Back to the Future, going, hey man, we're going back to normal soon. Like the one guy, what if Alex Jones came on? What if Alex Jones came on after 9 months after the towers, which is like, hey dude, no big deal, we're going back, like the buildings falling were a hoax. We are going back to normal in the near future. But that didn't happen. But now that we had a virus come, it's like the reverse. Like, no big deal, we're going back to normal. We're keeping stock prices up at high levels, all-time record. And we will pray for low co-pray prices. All right. I love you. Stay cool.